Hey guys, so we're actually in Las Vegas, Nevada right now. I can't say it's sunny Las Vegas, Nevada because I'm actually getting rained on right now, if you can believe it. You can probably see this rain cloud over here. Very rare to rain in Las Vegas, but it is actually raining right now. I can feel the drops. But what we're going to cover is the importance of closing quickly, an essential pillar to the 5 pillars of success that Ron so eloquently lays out for us. Got to close quickly, even when you're on the purchase end of things. And that's what we're going to be doing tonight is purchasing a great property that came about, and there's a lot of equity in this, and we'll have a couple of paydays, one at the beginning and one in the middle as well. And if we want to kill the goose, we'll have a payday on the back end too. So the importance of this is underscored by the idea that sometimes you have to really go out and protect the deal. You don't want to always line up your buyer first, because if you do that, you run the risk of losing the deal. So if we can close on this quickly, we have control, we have ownership, and we can move forward as we please. It's an overused cliche, but they ask, why does Willie Sutton rob banks? And the answer is because that's where the money is. Well, for us, or for me, the deals that I really like right now are subject to deals with just a little bit of equity. They have a big mortgage on it, maybe a little bit of equity. You can get these deals where you take over the payments. Those tend to be the types of deals that I'm focusing on. That's where the money is. And again, you can't emphasize enough how important it is when you get these deals to go ahead and close quickly. The other saying that's out there is, you can't steal in slow motion. So we're going to move lightning fast to get this deal done. We aren't going to steal, we aren't going to rob, so it's not necessarily an appropriate metaphor. We're actually going to help this seller. We're going to help this seller an immense amount. This is a seller who is moved out of the house. They got transferred in their job. They put a tenant in there without even a lease. This tenant hasn't been paying, so they've been scraping by trying to make their payment and also pay the bank, even though the tenant's not giving them the money that they'd expected to pay the underlying mortgage. They're about to fall behind. The guy was getting ready to lock the tenant out, which is highly illegal in Las Vegas. You can get in big trouble for locking someone out without going through the proper channels. So I explained that, we're not going to come in and buy this for cash immediately. But I will be able to take over those payments for you, and we'll cash out the underlying loan at some point in the future. Your name is going to remain on the loan, but we will make the payments and get it cashed out at some point in the future. And he's totally fine with that. So we're going to go ahead and close that up. I've already done the title work, which I think you may have seen on a previous video. If you haven't, we'll give you a screen capture of how that all goes down. But what I really like to do is kind of share with you on a whiteboard what this deal looks like. So let me grab this trusty whiteboard here and erase some of this stuff we have on here. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and scratch that whiteboard idea. It was raining out there, and that's not going to mix too well with a whiteboard and a dry erase marker. So this will actually work better to do this via a PowerPoint slide, if you will. So let's take a look at this house, this North Las Vegas house that we're about to get, subject to the existing mortgage. These deals come about all the time. This one happens to have more equity than you normally get in a subject to deal, which I'll share with you here. And I know that because I looked at the comps, and the comps are showing me conservatively close to $200,000 as an ARV. In fact, let's just do this. Let's explore this a little bit here. If I can go up to some of the appraisal sites that I like to use. One of them is ePraisal, because ePraisal actually will give you the Zillow appraisal as well as ePraisal. You can see ePraisal has it here at 213,000. Zillow's got it at 194, and we know we're in the ballpark there. I think this is Zillow right here. And this is actually the property itself. See, there's pictures on here because it was listed at one point. You can see the Zillow has it 195,000 approximately. Gives you a rental estimate, 1250. That's obviously for a straight lease. We usually try to get more than that when we're doing a lease purchase, which is the exit strategy, by the way. And pretty good predictions for Vegas going forward here. $211,000 they think this property will be worth in the next year. So I feel pretty comfortable with an ARV
around $200,000 for this home. In fact, it's interesting as we scroll down here. If you look, this was listed at one point for 235,000. So the realtor must have thought it had some value as well beyond the 200. So it's important to do these comps so that you get an accurate R when you go to analyze the actual property itself. So let's take a look at this. So we know our R is coming at 199. The loan is actually 100 and just short of $152,000. In fact, let me come off this presentation again here, and I think I might actually have the loan statement, and you can see where the cursor is. Let's see, where's the balance is short of 152. It's actually what's that, 151,977. So we know for a fact that we've got some pretty good spread to work with here so far. So you got an ARV at 199, you've got a loan at 152. On that very same payment, I don't know if you saw it, but the payment was somewhere around 900 bucks. In fact, let's just take a quick look. Let me make sure that's accurate. But I believe the payment was shown on here. The payment is actually less. The payment is 850. What is it? 854. And you can see they're past due one payment, and they've got coming up due 1782. So that makes them motivated, obviously. But the payment is actually less than the 900 that I've got on our analysis here. So let's go back to that and take a peek at what the numbers look like on this deal, because they look really good, and I'm getting more and more excited about it as we look into this here. But you got a payment of 900 bucks. You've got a pretty good spread between the ARV and the loan balance, and you have a seller who's agreed to sell it subject to what he owes if I can just get him $5,000. He's got some credit card bills and wants to begin chipping away at that. And $5,000 on top of the loan, he'll let it go. So, that's a situation. You could axe this if you wanted to. You could tie up the property, give yourself a little bit of time, go find yourself a buyer and fund the purchase, fund the $5,000 with the money that you bring in from your buyer. But in a lot of cases, you actually want to go out and protect the deal. You don't want to take the chance on losing it or somebody changing their mind. And this is one of those. It's a deal that I personally want to close on, and I want to close on it quickly. Don't want to play around with this. I know I'm going to get more than $5,000 from the market, so it's worth it to go ahead and close on it right away. And that's what we're getting ready to do. So exit plans on this property are pretty standard. We're going to lease option this property out. I think we can easily lease option this property for $209,000. Most of these tenant buyers aren't really as concerned about the price as they are about the payment and what they have to put up front to get into the property. So deposit wise, this is another discussion that we can have is how much of a deposit do you want? It really depends if you want a goose that's going to keep laying golden eggs, or you want a goose that's going to lay one big giant golden egg. So the bigger the deposit, probably the better chance you have of it being a one egg goose, so to speak, because people tend to not want to walk away from bigger deposits. And you can customize your strategy on who you're going to lease purchase the homes to, because there is a plethora of folks out there who can't qualify for a loan, who are looking for these kinds of deals, who have some cash, especially here in Vegas. Oh my goodness. You've got professional poker players, you've got all sorts of people who have some type of credit issue, but people make good money here in Vegas. I mean, I think even the limo drivers and probably some of the, I don't know about the Uber drivers, but the limo drivers are making six figures out here. So you've got people with cash. Now, payment on this, we could probably get $1,400 a month on this deal, possibly more depending on what we would apply towards the purchase price. So you've got some some pretty good spreads here. Let's take a look at what this would result in, or potentially could result in, on the back end. So let's say I get this deposit here of 15,000. You could probably get more than this, but let's say I settle for $15,000. I've got 5,000 going out, so my cash net up front is $10,000, isn't it? So that's payday number one. Payday number two, well, we've got a spread in our monthly payment of 1,400 coming in versus 900 going out. So by my math, that's 500 a month times 12 months equals a cash flow of $6,000 a year. So you can see why you may not be that anxious to kill the golden goose that's laying the golden eggs in a deal like this, and maybe you'll settle for a little bit less cash now because on the option deposit, because a lot of times those people are willing to walk away from it, and you can go get go get another option deposit. So just a matter of how you look at it. And then if you do want to shepherd them through the process all the way to close and help them get qualified, you got a pretty good back end payday. Back end payday on this is about 32,000 in this example, because if you take $209,000, subtract out the $15,000 deposit, they would still owe you 184,000, right? 184 less the 152 to pay off the underlying loan equals $32,000. So it's a very big payday on the back end if you want to go that route. But it's really just a matter of personal preference and what you want to do. You can have this big goose that lays one golden egg, or you can have that same goose laying lots of golden eggs. And I think in this case, I'm going to aim for the latter. So anyway, that's what this deal looks like. And this is the way you ought to look at these, and you ought to go out and get these as soon as you can, and really consider whether or not you want to protect the deal, go close now, take a little bit of a risk and put some money out there, knowing that you're going to have money coming in on the back end from the buyer. And if you're uncomfortable with that or unable to raise the money to close right away, then you can go out, get this thing under contract, and bring a buyer to the table that'll fund your purchase, the $5,000 in this case.
So that's three very nice paydays there. So we're going to go out and get this deal tonight, and there's literally deals like this by the thousands out there. So go get a couple, two, three yourself while you can.